Direct News TV. March 2, 2024. Israel's war on Gaza live, U.S. confirms humanitarian aid airdrops. If you're just joining us, it's just after 5 p.m., 15 o'clock GMT, in the occupied Palestinian territories and Israel. Here's a recap of the latest developments. At least 11 Palestinians were killed and 50 wounded when an Israeli air raid directly hit tents housing displaced people in Tal as-Sultan, Rafah, an area previously designated as safe. The U.S. carried out its first airdrop of aid into Gaza, according to U.S. officials, with 3 C-130 planes dropping some 35,000 meals. Thousands are marching in Kafr Khana, an Arab town in northern Israel, to demand an end to Israel's attacks in Gaza and the occupied West Bank. A separate crowd of Israeli protesters, led by relatives of Israeli captives in Gaza, are marching towards Jerusalem to urge the government to do whatever it can to bring their loved ones home. Israeli opposition leader Yair Lapid, joining the march to Jerusalem, blamed the government for not doing enough to return Israeli captives. The Office of EU Foreign Policy Chief Josep Borrell called for an impartial investigation into the aid convoy attack on Thursday that killed 115 people and said responsibility for the incident falls on Israel. The U.S. confirms that it has airdropped 38,000 meals to Gaza in coordination with Jordan, but experts say the aid does not make up for Israeli restrictions on the transfer of food into the enclave via land crossings. At least 11 were killed and 50 wounded after an Israeli air attack on a tent housing displaced people next to the entrance of a hospital in Rafah city, the health ministry says. Settler attacks reported across the occupied West Bank. The Palestinian Wafa news agency has reported several settler attacks taking place across the West Bank. Settlers seized a park in the village of Carryout, south of Nablus, taking control of a building under construction in the middle of the park and raising an Israeli flag above it. They also took control of a water spring on the outskirts of Carryout. Palestinian farmers have been attacked in the town of Karawat Bani Hassan, west of Salfit, in the central West Bank. Settlers attempted to stab Muhammad Yaqub Ryan, a resident, with a sharp object and fired live ammunition at other farmers. Settlers stormed the homes of Palestinian residents in Arab al-Malahat, northwest of Jericho, beating and wounding several of them. International community not putting enough effort into Gaza aid delivery. Majub Zwairi, director of the Gulf Study Center in Doha, has told Al Jazeera that he believes the international community is not putting enough pressure on Israel to allow trucks to enter Gaza, opting instead for airdrops that are far less efficient. Why not send food in through Karam Abu Salem? Zwairi said. 2,000 trucks are waiting to get into Gaza, at border crossings, he said, while food and medicines pile up for months past their expiry dates. Why isn't the international community not putting enough effort into delivering aid in an organized manner, he asked. The analyst added that airdropped aid may land in the sea or areas under bombardment, making it impossible for people to consume or retrieve it. U.S. confirms aid airdrop with Jordan. Here's the statement from the U.S. Central Command, confirming earlier widespread reports that the U.S. had conducted humanitarian aid airdrops in Gaza. U.S. Central Command and the Royal Jordanian Air Force conducted a combined humanitarian assistance airdrop into Gaza on March 2, 2024, between 3 o'clock and 5 p.m., Gaza time, to provide essential relief to civilians affected by the ongoing conflict. The combined operation included U.S. Air Force and RJAF C-130 aircraft and respective Army soldiers specialized in aerial delivery of supplies, built bundles and ensured the safe drop of food aid. U.S. C-130s dropped over 38,000 meals along the coastline of Gaza, allowing for civilian access to the critical aid. The DoD humanitarian airdrops contribute to ongoing U.S. government efforts to provide life-saving humanitarian assistance to the people in Gaza. We are conducting planning for potential follow-on airborne aid delivery missions. These airdrops are part of a sustained effort to get more aid into Gaza, including by expanding the flow of aid through land corridors and routes. Lebanon's FM open to indirect negotiations with Israel. Lebanese Foreign Minister Abdullah Bou Habib says his country is ready for indirect negotiations with Israel to avoid the current exchange of fire spiraling into a regional war. In a statement to Al Jazeera, Bou Habib said Lebanon was ready for indirect negotiations through the US, France or the United Nations and warned Israel that any aggression against Lebanon will not go unpunished. Israel has repeatedly threatened to wage war on Lebanon if diplomatic efforts to remove Hezbollah assets from the border fail. Death toll from aid seekers' attack rises to 116. The death toll from a deadly attack by Israeli forces on thousands of Palestinians wanting to receive food aid near Gaza City on Thursday has risen to 116, the Ministry of Health has said in a statement. The ministry said the number was likely to increase as a result of dozens of serious injuries and the lack of medical capabilities. Israeli families of captives growing more concerned. There are going to be several demonstrations throughout Israel. The first will take place tonight in Tel Aviv, in what has become known as Hostage Square. Families of Israeli captives will gather here for a rally to call on the government to do everything it can to bring about the release of their loved ones. These families have grown frustrated with the government. One of their major concerns is that their loved ones are going to die in the relentless bombardment that is besieging Gaza. Hamas releasing a statement yesterday saying that 7 of the captives have died from Israeli bombardment, along with a video, has been met with a lot of frustration. And that frustration is being directed at the Israeli government, which they believe has simply not done enough to bring back the captives. My name is Kingsley. Please like, share, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can be the first to be notified whenever we post. You won't regret it.